as we have here, we actually have the camera unit itself, which is not bad. I thought it was a lot bigger. It looks a lot bigger in the pictures, but it has a screen here. And also, this is the part that attaches to the window. And it's really tiny. It's really small. It's not that bad. It's really not bad at all. And then you have your buttons down here. Now, as we open up the box, we have all the wiring. We have a cigarette lighter here. Now, again, if you use your USB, if you use your cigarette lighter for USB, this will not take over it. It will actually have a place where you can enter the USB. So we have that. That gives the power. Also, we do have a rear camera right here. Now, I'm not too sure what we're going to do with this rear camera yet. I don't know if we're going to mount it on the trunk like we did with my Accord, or are we just going to actually mount it on the rear window so that it can record, you know, facing out. So we're going to figure that out, but it has enough cable here, the cable to run from the front of the car to the rear of the car. So I'm not really worried about that. Nice thick cable here, nice coating on it. So it's not going to, wires are not going to get frayed over time. Also, this is the camera that attaches to this guy right here. Like I said, it looks like a mini USB rear camera. So it would connect kind of like this. You would connect it like this, and then it'll record the inside of the car. I don't want that. I'm sure that she doesn't want that either. So this is an option if you want to run this piece or not. But most likely we're not. It's just up to her. But this is the main piece, like I said. And then obviously you have another, 3M foam piece here. And then you have a couple of other screen protectors here. I don't know what these are for, but I'm sure they'll tell you in the owner's manual. Now, another cool thing about this, a lot of dash cameras do not offer this, but it does come with its own micro SD card. So it's a 64 gig card. So that's pretty sweet. And that's pretty much it. It's actually a little, this kit's a little simpler, it looks like, rather than the other, cars that I've seen, or the other kits that I've seen in the past. Like, it's actually pretty minimal. So hopefully it is as minimal as, getting everything installed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and add this into the box, get all this back, and we're going to put all this into that Audi right there. So let's get started right now. So pretty much already connected this piece up. Like I said, this is where your power is going to come. So this camera is not going to run when the car's off. It's only going to run when the car is activated. I mean, it's a newer car, so you're not really going to need that anyway. But we have that. We're going to turn it this way so she can have her USB port right there. So she has one here, but if she needed another one to still charge phones, she can still get another plug for that. Now, what we did was we actually ran the wire from here, ran it underneath the trim here. Eric, where did you run this?
I ran it all the way underneath, all the way towards the back, where there's a gap.
Oh, okay.
And you just tucked it all the way around, yeah, inside.
Okay. So most people are going to worry about this area right here. For some reason, my GTI was like this too, but these panels are very tight. It's not like my Accord where you can kind of like pry on them a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the cable forward, and we're going to tuck the wire against the windshield. So that should be a better way of doing it. And then we'll run it above the headliner here. And then we will have our dash camera mounted most likely behind the rear view mirror right about here. So she won't see it, which means it's great because, she won't have to worry about anything of that nature. Now, smart thing to do. I mean, Eric likes to work quickly, but what we're going to do is we're going to start the car, not start it, but we're just going to turn the accessory mode on. And we just did. And then just to make sure that everything works, make sure this thing comes on, which it does. Okay, so it does work. And it's asking me for some things, so that's fine. We're not worrying about that. We're not setting this up now. We're going to set this up. I just wanted to make sure that this comes on. So it does. So we're good to go. And the only thing that we got to do now is pretty much just get all the wiring. Now, compared to the other videos I've done with dash cameras, this one's going to be installed a little differently, and I'll tell you why. I'm not going to show her plate, but on the rear, go in the back and show you the plate. But if you guys know my car, not my GTI, but my Accord, and my Civic, when I had it, I ran it through the interior out into the trunk, out to the trunk door. So it's mounted above the license plate. This is a little different because of the fact that, her car doesn't have an access hole. Like the Accord had an access hole that I can run wires through, or sometimes you would have to drill through your trunk and then get a grommet or something, which we're definitely not going to do on this Audi. She has a backup camera standard on the car, so that's not the issue why she's using it. She just wants to record what's happening behind her. So what we're doing is that we see, I don't know if you guys can see that, the third brake light, there's like a little plastic cover that goes above it where my finger is. We're gonna mount it on that, and we're gonna double side tape it, so it should definitely stick with no issues at all. Now the rear view camera, which is down here, has this little bracket. I don't think we're gonna need the metal bracket. I think we're gonna take this off and just use the adhesive on top of the camera itself and just mount it towards the rear. Like I said, she just needs to record what's going on behind her, just in case if she gets to a rear, if someone hits her in the rear, or someone's, you know, anything can happen in New York. But yeah, we're gonna get this installed, and like I said, we're finished running the wires up. Eric's almost done with the everything when it comes down to running the power wire. Once we get the power wire run and fit, we will actually then fit up the camera itself. After we fit up the camera itself, then we will run the rear view camera to the rear. We'll make sure it's all tucked nice and neat behind everything. We may run it through the driver's side. We may run it through the passenger side. We just don't know yet, but we're going to figure it out. Let's get it done. All right, guys. Well, we got everything installed here. Don't worry about this. This is the last piece of the puzzle. We actually got the rear camera mounted right in the center over there. It looks pretty bulky, but it's not too bad because of the fact that it's recording the whole rear. Also, Eric set up the live camera feed. So Azdome has an app where you can connect to these cameras. And what you can do after you connect to them, you could pretty much do live view on the Wi-Fi if you want. So you can connect. So the M550 has Wi-Fi capability, so it disconnected from Wi-Fi, which is obviously probably due to timing out, but that's fine. But they do have their own app, which allows you to connect to the camera, which is pretty dope. Most of the cheaper ones do not have an app. You just pretty much have to use a memory card. But this is cool that they do. And yeah, I think this is pretty sick. It's the menu right here that shows you everything. So that's the front camera. And also now it's also going to show you trying to connect back to it. Yeah. Okay, he's trying to connect back to it. But this is pretty cool. Like, I like the fact how small this is. Now, we did speak to the wife. She does not want to be recorded in the car. I don't blame her. This is something that is good for Uber drivers. I do want to make note of that. For instance, if you're having Uber and you need a dash camera to track your, accidents and stuff like that, but you also want to track, issues with passengers in the car, then you can connect this to the side of that, and it comes out like this. So it would sit kind of like that. If it was plugged in, it would plug in here, and then you'll be able to see the passengers inside the vehicle and record with audio, as well as record outside. So it's a 3-way channel camera, front, rear of the car, and inside the car. And you can choose if you want to run this or not. In this case, like I said, it's her car, her rules. She does not want to be recorded in a car while she's driving. So it's pretty dope. Obviously we didn't put the wiring up, and then we did have to just put this. Now, in this car, we didn't want to New York's really strict about having obstruction of view. So what we will do is that we're going to mount it behind the rear view mirror. Again, it doesn't distract her or anything like that. So it's pretty cool. We're just going to mount it here. Once everything's done, we're just making sure everything's testing right now. And yeah, so we'll show you the final clip after everything's finally installed, after Eric is finished playing with the Wi-Fi setup. All right, guys, so here it is. The Azdome M550 camera installed. Looks pretty good. It's nice and small. I thought it was bigger. It looks a lot bigger in pictures, but it's actually, when you're looking at it from here, it's actually really minimal. Now, the A3 is kind of small with its interior. So this is the rear view, and obviously she doesn't want it in her obstruction of view. So that's how it's going to sit. Obviously you don't need to be seeing the screen the whole time. This is just for dash camera purposes, but yeah. Looks really good. It's facing where it needs to face. Another cool thing I like about this is that this is attached by magnets. So you could just simply pull it off, and it's attached by a connection, and it's attached by 2 magnets on this piece right here. So that's pretty dope. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that before. I think the quality of this is really good too. And then as you can see here, this is the actual footage of everything. Hopefully you can see that. And then again, when it goes into a sleep mode, but it's always still recording at all times. So if you hit it, it's still recording. Now let me see if I can So that's the back camera right here. As you guys can see, like it's the whole rear of the car from the fence to the garage. So pretty much it shows absolutely everything, which is pretty cool. I didn't want to mount this on the trunk, and I'm glad we didn't. So it's pretty much inside the car. It records everything behind her, which is dope. And then you can see it with both views together. But again, after a while, what's going to happen is this screen will go black, but it will still be recording in the background.